What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name After Sound, and I do have a new song out recently called Dreamin', so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. Okay, guys, we had our February Town Hall for Splinterlands, and I gotta say, it was phenomenal. This is what I was hoping for in January to really set the tone for 2025, and we didn't quite get it. It's funny because I think Matt even kind of like nodded at that or winked at it because he's just like everybody was coming out of the holidays and we didn't have everything further along than we wanted to, and so now this is the town hall where we got a lot of things to share. So I gotta say the town hall delivered on expectations. And I am feeling very, very excited for Splinterlands over the next 8 to 12 weeks and all the things that they have planned. Let's keep our fingers crossed that they'll be able to knock all of this stuff out because it is quite ambitious. But let's go ahead and start with the easy stuff. Number one, again, this is the 5 biggest takeaways, so it's not a full summary, but just want to give you the 5 things that stood out to me. But number one is going to be what is coming out on the next release, which is set not for a Tuesday, but actually for next Thursday. So it's kind of in between release dates for the end of February, and this is the reason for this is because this is the end of season, and we are going to finally get a survival mode, which is going to be very exciting. So a third game mode is going to be added in addition to wild and modern format, and so we are going to see how this thing all plays out. Now, in addition to survival mode, we will also get a leaderboard rework, and the big thing here that I didn't see too many people talking about afterwards is the fact that DEC is no longer going to be available for leaderboards. It's going to be changed to Glint, and the top 100 spots are going to be getting it. Now, it's not just the top 100 spots in the entire leaderboard. This will be set, the whole leaderboard rework is going to get it so that wherever you start the season, right? Let's say you start in bronze, you will play for the bronze leaderboard in that season, right? So even if you go all the way up to champion, which, you know, I'm trying to think of if there's ways in which people can kind of abuse this, but again, it's all for Glint anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter because somebody could just like start the season in bronze, rent max level cards, and get all the way to diamond, and probably like get the top spot on the bronze leaderboard, right? So like in a way, the bronze leaderboard, especially if you have new players coming in that are trying to shoot for the top, it's always going to be gamed in that way, right? Whereas like you probably won't see that as much with silver and gold, but you know, we'll wait and see how all of this shakes out. But it'll be extra Glint all around, and in addition to that, this has not been, you know, there's no concrete details on this yet, but Matt is saying that he wants there to be more value in the Glint shop. So things like titles, right? Things that you can get that are limited edition and that are NFTs or are collectible items that can be sold or resold. So you can expect to see that probably coming in the near future. I'm sure they want to get all of this stuff under their belt first, but that is the main thing. Survival mode and the leaderboard rework is set for February 27th, the end of February, and I think it should be a good one. I will be very excited to see how March goes once we have survival mode in the mix. All right, so that's the first thing. The big one though is Andrew, I believe Andrew Wall is his last name, from Not Corrupt Media, the team that helped to sell like $70+ million of land in Illuvium. These are the Illuvium guys, right? This is the Illuvium team that we brought in to essentially help get Splinterlands to the next level. And I have to say, I was very, very impressed with Andrew. He did not shy away from tough questions. In fact, he welcomed them. He was very upfront and brutally honest about where Splinterlands sits in the, you know, the overall microcosm of Web3 gaming, which again is still relatively small. And he was also very realistic in terms of the amount of expectations that we should have, just level setting proper expectations. So, for example, and I won't be able to capture everything in here, but I want to cover at least some of the top things that I took away from his message. So, for example, you know, he gave the number of like 6 figures, 100,000 players, monthly active users. That is like the upper echelon of Web3 right now. You are in like the top 3% of projects if you have 100,000 monthly active users. That's not going to be us, right? And that's not even what we're shooting for, even to get multiple tens of thousands, right? So I actually appreciate the fact that he was very honest about that, because in the past, even Matt has come on and said, yeah, we're trying to get to like 100,000 players or millions of players, right? Like, and I know Matt's thinking like very long term. He wasn't trying to throw anybody off, but I appreciate how very focused, realistic, and down to earth Andrew was in terms of setting those expectations. So that being said, just to dive into that a little bit more, when I think through the fact that we probably have like realistically like 1,000 to 3,000 real active players here, players that are spending money, probably with multiple accounts or whatever, but probably around that amount, and probably less than 1,000 players that are like actively engaged in Discord, on YouTube, doing all the things on X, right? So I would say that even just getting a couple thousand people that are at my level or around my level, right, willing to spend some money in the game, willing to play and participate, willing to acquire SPS and believe in what's going on, I would say that, that would move the market significantly. So that is my hope as we move forward, and I like the fact that, that Andrew is kind of focusing on that. Now, in terms of some of the other ideas that he had, I highly recommend, if there was any town hall to go listen to, this would be the one, right? I would say you can skip the January one. You could probably even skip the December one, right? But this one was worth going to, just because of the fact that, like, I was really enthralled by what he was saying. I was really impressed by the way that he came off. So, they have a lot of things planned in terms of trying to get Matt in front of new audiences, whether it's podcasts, whether it's spaces, right? They're trying to reach out to other and new influencers, not necessarily in the Web 2 space, but definitely in the Web 3 space, and really trying to bring the game in front of more people. And I think what's great about this, and I've been raving about all the Ghost Card stuff recently, but now you have an opportunity for people to come in and literally play at the top levels of the game for free, just to see how they like it. Right now, they won't be able to participate in the play to earn aspect, but we can really build out the competitive scene, and we can really build out just the ease of onboarding for folks, which I think is going to be really important. So I'm looking forward to that. Like, they talked about tournaments, they talked about all kinds of events, streams, live streams, all different things. So I'm looking forward to that. If there's any way that I can be, involved or help, obviously I'm still going to be doing stuff here on the channel, but it is exciting to see that there's going to be this focused effort, especially around Conclave Arcana and everything that Splinterlands is working towards in the future. So whatever that ends up looking like, I think is going to be solid. And, it's funny because I was talking about this with someone the other day, but it's like, I can't wait for new influencers to come in, right? Like, no disrespect to any of the other folks here who are making content for Splinterlands. We're all small fish, right? None of us really matter. Like, at some point, for this game to be successful, you have to bring in the big folks. And, like, when they come in, well, guess what? It makes all the rest of us richer, right? Because we've been just stacking SPS and stacking assets for the last couple of years. So I welcome it. I think it'll be great. If someone can make me irrelevant by making better content, then hey, I would love that if that can get Splinterlands on the map and get SPS to $10. Wouldn't that be phenomenal? All right, so that's it for the marketing update. Again, there was a lot of really good stuff in there, and Andrew did have his own Q&A, which was fantastic. It was kind of like in the middle. So I would highly recommend, if you're interested and you've been kind of complaining about marketing and wanting to hear what the marketing plan is, this was much more focused. This was much more overarching of like what the team is planning on doing. Now, there's still no like hard time frames or deadlines outside of the fact that, Conclave Arcana is set for May as a launch and April as the pre-sale, which I'll get to in the last point. But between now and then, we got survival mode coming out, hopefully next week. Next month, March, hopefully we have LAN 1.75, which I'll get to in a little bit. And then obviously Conclave Arcana and all the other things that the team is working on. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and jump to number 3. There was a lot of talk about campaign mode and the foundation set. Now, I've talked about the foundation set before, where this is just going to be a soul-bound set of cards where you'll be able to come in, buy packs of these cards for glint, and it's just a starter set, right? The cards are not going to be that fantastic. In fact, they're going to be somewhat nerfed, either like not really competitive against real cards, or just like a higher mana, like I don't know, think of like or whatever card you can imagine from like a reward card or Chaos Legion card, and then just like double the mana or 1.5 the mana, right? Like a 9 mana Cursed Wendeku would not be worth it. So things like that, where that's how I think the team is going to approach this with the foundation set, and just make it so that people can come in, play the game for 100% free, and then use the glint that they earn to go and buy these cards, open packs, right, which is like the addictive feedback loop nature of it, and then combine cards, so they get the full experience without ever having to spend a penny. And then if they want to start competing and start earning, and that's the important part, right? If they want to start earning, then that's when you have to start buying SPS. You have to buy a spellbook, you have to do X, Y, and Z, which gets you further into the ecosystem. But at least there's a nice little entry point where people can just interact and do all the fun things in the game without actually having to spend anything. So that's the foundation set. And in campaign mode, again, they spend a long time talking about all the different chapters. I don't know how many there's going to be, but it's going to progress people through this PvE environment, which we've been talking about for a while. I think it'll be good. Obviously the team longer term wants to get some kind of like PvE for even players like at my level or beyond, where just these cool campaigns that people can participate in. But the reason I bring these things up, not just that they were talking about them a lot, but it does sound like this is next, right? When I was talking about, all right, they had all these things that they had set for Q1, and then they started moving some things around, like Glamour got pushed to post Conclave Arcana. We're still waiting for an update on like the mobile app. Validators are out. The two big ones, Land and Survival Mode, we kind of have rough release dates already for those. Like a lot of stuff is starting to come together. Well, what comes after that? Well, it sounds like campaign mode and the foundation set are going to be things that come next, and these do have a deadline, because if the team is going to be running a ton of like marketing to bring people in around the Conclave Arcana pre-sale and launch and post-launch, I mean that's a couple of months away, right? We're talking, I mean, this is the end of February now. If we're looking at the Conclave Arcana pre-sale being in like 6 weeks, that's not a very long amount of time. I would imagine that once Land is out, the team's focus is going to move towards getting campaign mode and foundation set out next. So at some point, I would say probably in April, maybe May is my guess on when that would come out, right? Because they would want that to kind of go in line and make it easier for new players to get onboarded and have this fun experience. So that's my guess on when it comes out. They did not give any release date or times, but I would be shocked if they paid all this money, spent all this time for marketing to get new players in April and May, but didn't actually put the campaign mode and foundation set until like June or July. That would just be weird to me. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. It makes sense to me, but that's kind of what I see coming down the pipeline next. All right, let's move over to number 4 and talk about Land 1.75. And here you can see what's coming down in terms of topics next. Why is this so sensitive? There we go. All right, so Land, we know from Cryptomancer's recent update, is currently in testing. So I don't know how long that's going to take. I don't know how many bugs they're going to find. Keep in mind that the QA process for Land 1.5 took forever. So I don't know what that's going to be like this time around. Keep in mind, we had a completely different developer back then. It was Farpetrod versus Cryptomancer, and I'm not trying to make any comparisons between the two. I'm just saying that it's somebody different this time. So maybe there won't be as many QA issues. Maybe there will be even more QA issues. I have no idea what to expect, but Cryptomancer, and it seems like the team is still hoping for a March launch, a Q1 launch of Land 1.75. Now, what's exciting is what comes after Land 1.75. Don't get me wrong, 1.75 is exciting, but the next focus that Cryptomancer will probably pivot to once this is out is conflict wagons and revival potions, and really anything that the team can use to give more utility to the resources on Land. Now, revival potions are going to be essential, or not essential, but they're going to be, complementary to survival mode. Those are not going to be out right away. And I would say that revival potions are probably going to be low on the priority list, but conflict wagons are not. Conflict wagons have a tentative deadline, right? Like if the launch of Conclave Arcana is going to be in May, then we are like, I would assume that we would see the first conflict at some point in May or at the latest some point in June, right? If they do like that 1 month lag like they did for Rebellion. So there is a time frame for that, which gives him like an entire quarter at this point. It's not even March yet. So hopefully he can get to that sooner rather than later and then knock, conflict wagons and revival potions. I don't know if that's like actual Land stuff that he's doing or if they're just going to take the resources from Land and like, you can make them somewhere else. But either way, I think that, it's great that we're starting to see Land come together. And Matt was saying that once this is done, they're probably going to take a closer look at like the 2.0 white paper and see what other, to quote Matt, what other low-hanging fruit can Cryptomancer go into next and really try to bring to life to add more utility, variety, and diversity to what's happening with Land. So that's where it's at. Hopefully we see a lot more Land development this year than we did last year. And yeah, all right. So number 5, Conclave Arcana. So as I said earlier, pre-sale is set for early April. Release Matt said it could be late April, maybe early May. So I wonder if they're still playing with the idea of just doing like a 2-week pre-sale versus a 4-week or full month pre-sale. But again, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. The big things with Conclave Arcana that he mentioned is that like species or races are going to be introduced, right? So you have your like Venaris and your, or I guess the Gobsons are like a family, right? But your Venaris, your, I don't know what else there's, your Djinns, right? Like all these different types of things that may have more or less synergy with one another. I don't know how all that's going to work, but it will add another element to the game. There's one other thing that they are trying to work on. Matt did not give many details and is not sure if it's actually going to make it in, but he did say it's something for collectors, which would be pretty cool. So, this is just speculation for me. It's more something that I'd like to see rather than something I think that they would do. But you look at Heloise, for example, right? I think it's Heloise that's like numbered, and I think it'd be cool to like have it be numbered in that way, so that not only are people like racing. I've talked about this previously, so like this isn't like a new idea, but like have it be so that people are rushing to open their packs as quickly as possible. And then when they combine cards, they're actually kind of picky and choosy because the card IDs are going to be like, okay, well, when you combine card IDs, it's going to combine to like the lowest one, right? So if you were the first person to open a pack and you got the first summoner, it's like 001, for example, right? On the ID card. Sorry, the card ID, and any summoner that you combine into it after that, just it all becomes 001. I would love to see something like that. I don't know if that's what they have, but it's just like, it makes it so that yours actually seems awesome and you can show it off, right? It's a nice social flex, whereas now it's just like the card IDs or whatever. So in the future, if the card IDs can be something where it's like, yeah, dude, I opened the first pack and I got the first whatever. Can you imagine what it's going to be like on Conclave Arcana release day? I mean, it's going to be super fun. Everybody's going to be opening packs. And then everybody's going to be really strategic about like, okay, I want to buy these cards off the marketplace, but how much are they going for? And like, oh, somebody's selling like an 003, right? But the 003 is going for like twice the price of everything else, because if somebody wants like a low mint number, things like that I think would be pretty cool. So that's what I think could potentially be there, but that's more something that I would want rather than as a collector, rather than I don't know what the team necessarily is working on. So that's the main thing for Conclave Arcana. That's really the top 5 things. There is a bonus item, and I kind of want to sit on this a little bit more and maybe even talk about it in a separate video. But at the beginning of the town hall, Matt was talking about how we should really be focusing on trying to get Hive listed on a tier 1 exchange versus SPS, right? Everybody talks about, oh, let's get SPS on Coinbase. I think his reasoning is sound, I think it would actually be a fantastic kind of like prelude to getting SPS listed, right? Because Hive is obviously a much bigger token. It's got a much bigger community. It's been around for a while, and if an exchange like Coinbase listed Hive, it would not only make the onboarding a lot easier, because then you could just buy Hive on Coinbase. You could withdraw it directly to your username, right? That's your wallet address is your username. It would go into your keychain, which you could then send into Hive Engine and swap it out for SPS DEC, right? You'd still pay like a deposit fee, maybe a withdrawal fee from Coinbase. You'd pay a deposit fee into Hive Engine. So it's cheaper, probably slightly, but then you don't have to deal with a bunch of private wallets. Like everything is kind of like within the same ecosystem already. There's a lot of easier onboarding. I mean, I'm sure people are very familiar already with like, okay, if I buy SPS on Ethereum or on BNB, then I can withdraw it to my private wallet, connect my private wallet to the game, and then pay the bridge fee and bring it into the game. And like that's cool too, but getting Hive on Coinbase or any tier 1 exchange, I think would actually be very, very important. And again, make it easier for SPS to then be listed, right? So again, I'm not saying that I'm going to like go out there and do extra work and be like, oh, like let's get Hive listed, but I understand the sentiment and I wouldn't mind seeing Hive listed first. So I guess I basically just gave my thoughts already on it. So that is all I have for you guys in this video. Again, a fantastic town hall. I want to give a shout out to the team. I know that they're working hard, and I know that we in the community, myself included, tend to give a lot of tough love, we'll call it, it, just because we're so excited for this stuff, and then we get so emotionally disappointed when it doesn't come when we want it to. But I'm excited to see where things shape up over the next, we'll call it 8 to 12 weeks, right? I'm looking now at like the end of February so 8 to 12 weeks would be like end of April, end of May. So that would get us into a very interesting time where survival mode would be out, land would be out, and the pre-sale for Conclave Arcana, as well as, potentially the Conclave Arcana launch, would already be done. And I think if we can get there and things look like they did, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, whenever Rebellion first came out, that'll be some fun times. So that is all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I will catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.